time for another old podcasty time with one returning guest and a new friend. So why don't we start off with Angel? Why don't you just give us a little intro here? We'll get an intro from both of you.
Hi, I'm Angel Lorenzana. I work in animation. I really like fashion and cute things and cartoons to a concerning degree.
And we are joined by a special guest.
Very special. I'm Leo Garcia. I am an artist. I work in animation, and I don't know what I like. Games, horror. I like horror. Yeah, let's go with that.
You don't know what you like. We were talking about Cubivore last time we talked.
Okay, I like quirky games. I like weird stuff. I love technology, and I love horror.
Okay.
You're right.
So I was introduced to you through Angel. We first time we met when we went to Disney, right?
Yes.
That was, and I found much respect for you because we were playing the game where you had to like, each person in the group had to name a Mario game, and then once you couldn't think of a new one, you were out, and it became just this Link versus Ganondorf back and forth battle between you and me at the end, and we were like, Mario 3-on-3 hoops, Fortune Street, and I was like, okay, this guy, this guy's all right. Not that you weren't before, but I was like, okay, this cements my respect for this person. So we did ask the old tweeters for some suggestiones about topics. And Leo, is there one that you wanted to start with?
Yeah, I want to start. Laren asks, is there a particular work or a piece of media that you felt changed the course of your life? Something that made you think, this is what I want to be doing?
Oh.
I think...
Damn. We're getting profound in the beginning. Okay, shit. Do you have one?
Yeah, I have a very quick answer because this is like, I can track everything to these two like pieces of media. What was it? 2006, Little Miss Sunshine came out, and it was getting a lot of like attention in the Oscar circuit.
Yeah.
And as a kid, I don't know why I got interested. I guess as a teen. But I remember one of our trips to Texas, I bought the DVD of it, and I just could not put it down. Like I was watching it almost every week. And it had a song by Sufjan Stevens in the soundtrack. And I was like, this is like nothing I've ever heard before. So I bought that album, not the soundtrack, but like the Sufjan Stevens album.
Sure.
And I was just like back and forth, Little Miss Sunshine, Sufjan Stevens, Little Miss Sunshine, Sufjan Stevens. And it kind of made me realize like, oh, like media can be so much more than just like a haha funny movie or a cartoon. Like it made me kind of open my scope into like, oh, there's like a ton of stuff out there that may be like made by smaller like companies or production houses or studios or whatever, and they can be just as meaningful as something made by like a huge studio. So I think that's when I started like, I kind of want to get into media. I kind of want to do something that goes along these lines of like, oh, you can make something really impactful even if it's not like a huge production.
Nice. Yeah, I know you're a big film guy, which I'd like to delve into later. What age were you around when you got this DVD?
So it had to be 2006 because Juno was 2007. So
Okay.
I was 13, just barely a teen,
okay.
13, 14, yeah.
Gotcha. So you're just like a little bit younger than me.
Yeah.
But that was like a pretty pivotal point for you, was that film, which is it's a great movie.
Yeah, I love it.
Actually, yeah. Last time I saw you in person, we talked about it actually. We were talking about a bunch of movies. Angel, you've heard of movies, right? I think you've seen what, 3? No. But Angel, do you have an example of a piece of work that changed your life in that way?
I don't know what to credit this with because, Rugrats was my big hyperfixation as a child. But I don't think that, I don't really think that put me on the path to animation, like wanting to do it. I was just like, wow, I like it. I think maybe I credit it to SpongeBob. That was
Okay.
when I was actually started to like like pay attention to like the credits and notice like a pattern of like returning people. Like, oh, like I see this name for like all my favorite episodes. Like, I didn't even think that like one person could be like responsible for like this thing I really like repetitively,
Mm.
and like I would then see that name on like other shows. Specifically, I'm thinking of like CH Greenblatt.
Okay.
So I
Yeah.
noticed
Yeah.
he was on SpongeBob, like I think season 2, like all the good episodes. And
Mm.
I saw him like on Billy and Mandy, and then he produced his own show, Chowder. And then from Chowder, I saw other names of like storyboard artists that then moved on to like make their own shows. So it's just like a
Sure.
family tree of just like these like creative producers. And I think
Nice.
that's like what kind of like planted the seed of like, oh, people make this shit. I can do this myself. This is like a viable job. And I think I was like maybe 9 or 10 was like, oh, okay, yeah, I want to do this. This is awesome. Because at that time I was already just like drawing obsessively for fun. I used to like stand like a foot away from the TV and memorize details of like cartoon characters because I like
Mm.
insisted on like being able to like draw on model, and it was just for like wanting to do it for like the sake of doing it.
That's cool.
But
Yeah, I think it's cool because a lot of people, including yourself, do that with animators and have almost like a. I assume you have like a pretty like extensive knowledge of like, oh, this animator did this and this, right? Or this storyboard artist did this. I assume,
yeah, to an extent.
right?
Yeah, to an extent.
To an extent, yeah, yeah. I know some people have that kind of like almost encyclopedic, or at least not necessarily encyclopedic, but they pay attention to that. That's I would do that with well, voice actors first and foremost. That was me poring over credits, and also I have a very good ear for it, both in English and Japanese, actually. So
Oh.
if I hear a Japanese voice actor, someone will ask me who is that. I'm like, oh, it's so and so. You might know him as this. And then even in when I was a kid, so it'd be like, oh, like Jeff Bennett, for example. If you know Jeff Bennett, he was like Johnny Bravo, Dexter's dad.
Oh, okay.
He's in a ton of those cartoons, and still working very much today. One of my favorites. I would notice, oh, like when he yells, because whenever a voice actor yells, that's when they're the most recognizable.
Really?
Because it is hard, like especially if it's like a yell of anger or pain. It's it's that's like you're almost like rawest, like how raw, like the rawest sound you can make. And so I was like, okay, no, wait, that sounds like blank. And then I was like, oh, and then I looked, I was like, oh, it is the same guy. And so I developed this sort of like, oh, like this person is this, and this. I would also do it later in my life with if I was watching, let's say, The Office or something. If there was a really good episode, I would see who the writer was, and be like, who crafted this. Even though I know that the writing room is very collaborative, and like sometimes it's almost just like a crapshoot on whose name gets credited. But
Yeah.
even then, though, you still get a sense, like certain episodes, like even if they pitch the idea and have the framework, I can still be like, oh man, like this does have a feel of a blank episode.
Yeah. I think you
so-
can kind of get a feel for an individual's like sense of humor too.
Exactly.
Oh, yeah.
Exactly. Even though there's a lot of spitballing, like throwing jokes in there from everybody.
Yeah.
I still paid a lot of attention to that. So, kind of going off of, I'm trying to think of what was my first. What one made me want to do voiceover? Because I always, when people ask why did you want to be a voice actor, it's because, Angel, you know David. Do you know David, Leo? David Kinney? I don't know if you've met David.
It sounds familiar, but
Yeah, Mute David. David and Max. They're you'll meet them eventually.
okay.
Very very long time friends of mine. And David is a writer, and he used to write radio plays when I was in high school, and all of us would do the voices, and that was when I like really fell in love with the acting side. But I definitely had an interest in the voice acting before that. I credit that experience with like that's when I like really understood, oh, like it's not just doing silly voices, it's like acting. Like that's what's the meaty part of it, and what I really was like absorbed in. But the craft itself, the earliest stuff that got me interested was Disney VHS tapes used to have special features at the end. Do you remember this?
Yes.
So you'd have to like go through all the credits, and then it'd be like, and here's like a special feature on the making of the movie, and they would show like old, sometimes even stills, but just like old recordings of like the actors doing it in the booth, or even better, sometimes they would show like and I was too little to understand the difference, where they would show like Catherine Beaumont, who's the voice of like Alice or Wendy, like as Alice, like in the scene, like, like, because they would actually draw her, like, as references. And I was like, oh man, like the acting looks really fun. And then I was like, and then they would be like, and then this person did the voice, and they would show like a thing. That was when I made the connection. Oh, like someone's doing that voice, like someone is playing that character. And then I started to very early on make connections in Disney movies of like, because especially in God, I'm gonna get into nerdy fucking shit here, but especially in like this 70s era, this is like your Rescuers, your Robin Hood, this era. They would use a lot of the same actors pretty often. And not only them, but like also like, let's say like 50s, because you had your what is his name? Like Alice in Wonderland. I'm gonna look up the actor's name. I feel it's like J. Malley something.
Who did they play?
I'm looking them up. J. Pat O'Malley. Yeah, J. Pat O'Malley. He voices in Alice in Wonderland. Where are you? It's like I'm pretty sure it's like the walrus. Are you guys familiar with Alice in Wonderland?
Oh,
yes.
Yeah.
And let me just make sure. I might be mixing him up. Because there's also, where the fuck?
Could I?
Yes, he's the walrus of the carpenter. He's Tweedledum Tweedledee.
Oh,
And
wow.
but then you also hear him. Whenever you hear that, like that sort of voice like this, it's that's him. So that's like he's Colonel and Jasper in 101 Dalmatians. He's the lead elephant in Jungle Book, Colonel Hattie. So in a lot of stuff, like he's got that very classic, like, sort of authoritative voice. But then it always fascinated me as a kid being like, but he also voices, the carpenter who has this sort of, this kind of voice, right? I was like, oh man, like how can one guy do, such different voices? That always like fascinated me. Or even if it was like the same voice, like you had like Pat Buttram, who's like the sheriff of Nottingham in Robin Hood. He's got that sort of, this kind of voice, and he's in Rescuers as like the mouse with the pitchfork. He's the old cranky dog in Fox and the Hound. Like he's the guy at Lester's Possum Park. That thing was one of his last roles, I think.
Wow.
So yeah, making those connections, because they would bring them back all the time. Like they would just be like, "Oh man, you're great. Come back for this and this." Especially in those 60s, 70s era, they weren't like big stars. These were like, we are voice actors like from radio who are good at this shit. And it makes me sad because the reason why that kind of stopped was because of Aladdin.
Yeah.
And then it was like, okay, yeah, celebrities. But that golden era of voice acting, which is still some of the best voice acting, is like all these amazing actors who could play so many roles, and they, like, you're Paul Frees, and you're just, oh man, like, so I think it was definitely watching those people perform and listening to them perform. That was what, and then cartoons was like, bam, I want to do this, like forever. Like a lot of people, it's actually anime, which is interesting. But for me, it was always cartoons. That was always like, and then later it would be video games once video game acting got better. And also I became a nerd. But yeah, those like Disney movies, then cartoons were what really got me into it.
Interesting. Do you have like a starting point where you think video game acting got good?
I would say, because, you know, you got your classic, like, bad example of, like, the original Resident Evil, right? Which is, you know, notoriously bad voice acting. I would say, so the original Resident Evil, when was that? Like,
that was like 98, right?
1999? I'm.
It was definitely
96.
90s.
Yeah, 96. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
A long ass time ago. And that's when you, but you're a Jill sandwich, you know, like just like terrible shit.
Wesker.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I think this is not the first time we got good video game acting, but like a masterpiece in video game acting, like not like pretty long ago, is like BioShock, right?
Oh,
like,
okay.
Like BioShock, with, you know, you got your Armin Shimmerman as Andrew Ryan, like. You've played BioShock, I assume, right?
I have not, but I have wanted to play it for a long time.
It's a fantastic. It's top 2 games for me. It's Paper Mario and then BioShock. And that was like 2007. But they definitely had good voice acting before then, because you had like, thinking back, I think probably a pretty big benchmark game. I'm not saying it had the best voice acting, but it had good voice acting in it. Final Fantasy X, right? Because it had so much voice acting. Like, I think that was a pretty big shift. Because I'm just thinking of Final Fantasies, right? Like 9 had no voice acting. 10, all of a sudden, everyone, NPCs, and you've got like, you know, people knock the laugh for Titus, but James Arnold Taylor is very good in that game, actually. You got John DiMaggio, you've got, you know...
Oh, John DiMaggio's in that?
John DiMaggio plays 2 characters.
I have no idea.
Characters. He plays Waka, and he plays Kimari. He's 2 party members.
I didn't know he was Kimari.
Like Tara Strong is Riku, like...
Holy shit.
Yeah, so that to me is like, okay, this is a huge difference now. Like, you had PS1, I'm trying to think. Unfortunately, I'm just not as familiar with the PS1's library because I barely had any games for it.
Yeah.
The PS2, that's when...
sorry.
Yeah.
It had...
No, go for it.
Silent Hill 1, which was okay, in my opinion. It definitely was, like, way ahead of Resident Evil 1.
Sure.
But it still was a little bit stilted. And then I guess Resident Evil 2 was also PS1.
Yeah, I'm thinking that PS2 era, because that's when Kingdom Hearts comes out, right? Kingdom Hearts, Final Fantasy X, what are some other good examples? I mean, like the God of War games are incredible voice acting. So that was when it was like, oh, like, we're taking this seriously now. Like, we're getting like real good voice actors. Even like the dubs of Japanese games were getting better. Like, that's when you have like, you know, your Persona 3, you know, so I would say that's the era of like, all right, we're gonna, and also not just voice acting, but lots of it. Like, we're talking Persona 3 has, you know, it's like a 60-hour, 80-hour game, and there's voice acting all the way through, you know. Not to say that there weren't stinkers, like there were plenty of stinkers in that time. But that definitely, and then once we start getting to BioShock, for that next generation, then it starts to get even more cinematic, and then later on we're going to like Uncharted, like now we're doing full motion capture with the performances, which is a whole nother thing. But yeah, I would say probably PS2. Before that, a lot of games either didn't have it, or it was pretty limited, or just bad.
Right. My only famous reference is like little platformer games, and it's like cartoony, and there are like bits of like voice acting.
Just what I needed, you know,
yeah, things like that. Yeah, but it's not like they had like narratives or like, you know, like long cutscenes. I don't know when that really kind of came about.
Yeah. Did either of you play Super Mario Advance?
Absolutely.
So this is as far as you go. Just
yes.
Like
this is my first Game Boy Advance game. God.
Oh damn.
All the lines are like burned into my brain.
Oh man.
Lucky.
Yeah, no, that was a great first one. Angel, do you have one that you want to bring in?
A question.
Yeah.
Oh Lord.
Or a prompt or whatever.
God, that was all one question.
Listen, we're all a bunch of fucking nerds. We're gonna be able to talk, talk a lot.
Bring up your favorite PS2 game next.
It's better than us being like, oh god, that was 2 minutes. We gotta keep going. What did you do to
favorite cereal?
Whoa, that. Are you joking? Because that'd be a great topic. We'll get to that in a second.
I mean, I have opinions, but I figure that, you know. Anyway, yeah. Angel, pick something.
Angel. Yeah, we'll get to that later.
Oh my god. I mean, there's some like good deep ones, but there's so many like quick little silly ones. Like someone asked, "What are bagels?"
Brad, next question.
Yeah.
Bread with a hole in it. Next question.
Why did Scooby-Doo and Scooby-Dum have the same first name but different last names despite being cousins? This was asked by Charles.
They're Japanese. Easy question. Next.
All right. Okay. Okay. All right.
So in Western, it'd be Do Scooby and Dumb Scooby.
Dumb Scooby.
Dumb Scooby.
Yeah. I mean, it's pretty accurate, right? Do Scooby.
Yeah, sure.
And so Scrappy is not direct. It's like cousins. Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah, this cousins.
Aren't Scooby-Doo and Scooby-Dum brothers?
It says that according to Charles, they're cousins. But I mean, cousins can have the different names.
That's like, and cousins can have the same last name too.
And and also like the same first names. Like a lot of people will like first names will repeat because they'll be like the blank the third or whatever. I'm like I was almost a Joe, like another Joe in a line of Joes in my family, or Jose's. That's my mom was like, no, absolutely not. I'm breaking this curse. So she just flipped my first and my middle names. Yeah.
The easy response is that Mrs. Do married Mr. Dumb and then had Scooby Dum. Like she took his name.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Next question from Youngie. Please ask them about the best thing to eat after a long day of work. Also, please ask Angel who their favorite drag queen is. I don't know why Leo can't have we can't all have like an opinion on like our favorite drag queens, but you know.
I'm not very knowledgeable on drag queens, unfortunately, so I don't really have an answer for that. Damn. But I'd be. Do you both have a favorite drag queen?
Angel, you go first. I feel like I'm pretty basic.
I don't know. There's so many. For like, you know, real girls. I mean, it's hard not to say that Trixie's funny. Trixie Mattel, she's really popular online. She has a lot of great content out there, a lot of different shows. She's funny. I love Crystal Method because she's just weird. I love a weird girl.
That's a great name.
Yeah, Crystal. Yeah, it's great. I wore her shirt the other day and I love it. And as far as like local, I don't know if they're local, but I've been going out to Hamburger Mary's with some friends recently. And like every second Saturday of every month is like this show called Diverse. And for those who don't know, who only think, you know, the drag scene is all about Rue. It's not. There's a bunch of different gender expressions, and that's what Diverse is all about. There's drag kings, drag queens, and just like any kind of expression of drag. And like one really cool performer who does a lot of weird stuff is Dusk, like DVVSK, like what was that? Yeah, they're really cool. They do a lot of weird shit. Like the very first like performance I saw of them was like a slowed down, like low pitched version of like Believe by Cher. Like, do you believe in life? It was great. And they have like really long limbs, so they're just like taking over the whole stage and just like moving around. It's great.
Almost like kind of gives you like Andy Kaufman-esque vibes. Like just kind of right? Or am I off on that? Like kind of just doing like weird bits just for themselves.
I
Like,
think
is that?
yeah, I think that's it. I don't know who that is, but I will. Yeah, that sounds about right.
here's my Andy Kaufman question. Did she go and fuck up with the vertical hold on the television? And then she made you all look at a shit at a fucked up drag show. It's okay, Angel. Andy Kaufman is a comedian. It's fine.
Yeah, basically, the TLDR in Andy Kaufman was he was like almost like a performance artist, right? But he was a comedian who would do like really like pretty like fucking way like not like way ahead of his time. Like he would like go on SNL and just like play like the Mighty Mouse theme and just like stand silently, and then whenever it goes like, "Here I come to save the day," he would just mouth that part.
Okay.
And then that was it. That was the entire. He would just and then just be silent for the rest of it. Or he would like just do weird ass shit. It was like basically, you know, there's anti comedy, and he was definitely like a pretty big sort of like one of the forerunners of that. Of like, oh, it's like funny because it's almost aggressively not funny. Like very interesting person.
He loved to fuck with people. He had like a doppelganger. I forget what his name is.
I also forget, but
he dressed up as like a completely different person. And at some point in
Tony
a show,
Clifton, right?
Yeah, Tony Clifton.
Yeah.
So at one point he was on the show. I forget what the show was called, but he was like, "Oh, you got to get Tony Clifton this much, and then you give me this much." And it's like, "You're the same person." He was like, "No, we're not." Stuff like that. To the point where when he passed away, people were like, "Oh, this is another bit, right?" It's just that.
Yeah,
fucked up.
God.
There are people who like still believe, maybe not entirely like honestly, but maybe some people believe that he actually did fake his death and he's still alive out there. Yeah, he very fascinating because he died very young. He was like 30 something. But
I see.
Yeah.
Wow. Interesting.
Now there was another part to that question. Besides, it was what's the best thing to eat after a long day of work? Was that the question?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I've never thought about this.
I love anything warm. If I could make like curry katsu every night, I would.
Oh.
So that's just my comfort meal.
Nice. How about you, Angel?
A long day of work. God. Just anything that I'm like I'm worried about being compromised at work. Like, oh, okay, like no dairy, no nothing that's gonna like fuck with me for the rest of the day. As soon as I'm home, as soon as like I'm in a safe space, I guess I'll just eat anything terrible for me.
What's an example of something like you're like I'm gonna treat myself?
Usually, well, we used to be so close to a bunch of like milkshake places, so I would get like something like any kind of like just burger and a milkshake or something, like steak and shake or whatever. So that's usually great. Or pizza. I don't know, something cheesy. I wish I had like a better answer, like a go-to. But I'm so picky. I don't like to eat the same thing every other day, so I never have like a constant.
That's almost the opposite of picky, though.
Oh,
like,
is it?
If you don't like eating the same thing,
yeah,
like you like eating different. That's the opposite. Picky eaters are like, I only like this, and I want to eat this only.
Oh, I see.
Like you're just spoiled.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
Which I get it. I'm the same way. Like I'm like, yeah, no, I want to eat as many different foods as possible. For me, I think the answer, it's boring, but probably just like fast food, because I know I shouldn't get fast food. But if I like have been working all day, haven't really had any time, it's like, okay, let's just get like a fucking like big McDonald's pile. Let's get a full combo and maybe a couple of other things throwing in there. That was actually my, oh man, I'm like thinking back like 10 plus years ago, back when I was a tutor, and I used to work like back in college. I would like maybe class would start at like, let's say 9 a.m. right, and then I do classes all day because I crammed them all together, and then starting at I would basically work or do classes and then work after that and be done at like 9. I would have like a 12-hour day basically.
Oh my god.
and almost have no time to eat. If I was lucky, I could maybe grab like a quick lunch. So then it would be like, okay, if I was like, okay, I'm fucking starving. I had no time today. That would be like, all right, go to the McDonald's and just fucking go to town. So I think that's where that stems from. Just like I don't have to do anything. I just get to order something and eat a lot of cheap ass food. And I hate myself. But it's great.
No.
Yeah. Now, it seems like we had a lot of good topics on there, at least from what Leo was saying. But before we go back to that, Angel, you're familiar with this. You can both, if you would like, ask a question or bring a topic of your own. So do either of you have anything like that you want to bring up?
I have one, but it's a weird one. I'll let Leo go first.
Oh, okay, too weird.
Too weird?
No,
okay.
No, you go first. I don't care.
Yeah. What is it?
Well, it could be a long one. Okay. I'm just curious if you wake up, you're 5 years old again, and you have all your adult memories. You remember everything. You have all your abilities. What do you do? And do you tell anyone that you are from the future?
So this is specific. I have a question then. So I have my adult memories, but is this the same past that I had, or is this like a new? I guess it'd have to be a new version of the past, but like prior to that point, like before I was 5, was it the exact same childhood I had up to that point?
I think so. Yeah, it's essentially New Game Plus. I only say 5 years old because that's like my earliest memory. I don't know what anyone's like.
Why not start from the womb, baby?
Oh God, that would be terrifying. But
it would be. But that's a true New Game Plus then.
Yeah.
I only ask because that sounds horrifying. Oh, it sounds horrifying either way. It sounds horrifying because like that's like I killed my past self. You know what I mean? Because like there's this. So I hate isekai anime. And there's this one isekai, it was like a bookworm girl. Like she's like, oh, I'm a girl who likes books, and I was like, oh, this sounds fun. And then I didn't realize it was an adult woman dies and gets her soul gets transported to a fantasy realm and replaces a little girl's soul. So that little girl just dies and she takes over the body. So that's the thing where I'm like, I would rather start from the womb, so I'm not like killing my past 4-year-old self or something. You know what I mean?
I like you're suddenly like your parents are dealing with this completely like mature like version of you. It's like you're not.
Yeah, I feel like that would be very traumatizing because it'd be like, where did our son go? Like the one before. So if I let's say I'm Boss Baby. I've never seen Boss Baby. I'm assuming this is what Boss Baby is. Okay. You come out of the womb as an adult. Well, first off, my sexual dreams come true. Time for an adult. No, I'm kidding. I'm a baby. I wouldn't tell anyone because then I would be put in a lab. Like it would be like yeah, like that is something you just cannot. But that would be hard because you almost I mean obviously okay. So yeah, that is kind of interesting. Maybe it is better to start from like your first memory. Because otherwise you just can't talk for like the first couple of years, right?
Right.
Like you can't just be like, hey, mom, hey, how's it going? You know, they're like, kill it. Like, you know, it's demon possessed. So if let's say it's like, I don't know, 3 or 4 where talking is not it's
not as like concerning.
Odd. Yeah, it's not concerning.
You like ease into it.
God.
You sit,
so then what was the question? What would I tell anyone and what would I do?
Yeah, what would you do differently? Because like I don't think it's possible to repeat the same actions, and you probably don't necessarily want to. But it's just something that I think about all the time. It's like, oh, would you would you do a do-over? And I think yes, I would absolutely.
Interesting.
Because like if you have all your memories, then you have the same abilities too, right?
Yes.
Like, you would be drawing at like current level, but as a child.
In theory, because I wonder like the logistics of like when you said like would I be able to talk? It's like, oh yeah, I don't know if you would be like physically. Like, are your vocal cord do your vocal cords like match up with like your ability to talk? Can you say those words yet? Is your what is it? Like I know what I want to draw, but would my hand be able to like keep up yet? Or do I have to warm up to it again?
I don't think you're limited by talking by physically. I think it's more of a brain thing. For physical hand stuff, yeah, that would definitely be limited. Potentially. But if you're like that is a good question.
Would you be able to voice act, do you think?
Well, that would be different. No, because that is different. I would have to wait till puberty to see.
Well, you could be a child actor.
That's true, but would you want to be a child actor?
That's what I'm asking you.
That would be interesting. I guess. I guess if I just like really launched into it and I was like, I want to be a. That's
why it was also kind of like a long one. It's like just really thinking about the logistics of it. My reasons are pretty selfish. I do just want to like experience things I missed out. Like, oh, like I would never have tried this when I was younger, but like now I'm less picky. I'll try eating this and this. I'll see these people before it's too late. I just want to like experience things differently. Squandered opportunities.
I'm with you on that because I definitely was a super picky eater as a kid and I'm not anymore. So I would love to just, oh man, if you had Dave on, he'd be like salivating because, he wants to be immortal, which that's a whole different conversation. But like, yeah, if you, downsides, you would have to follow the rules of being a child, which is the worst, right?
Yeah. Yes.
Like, you'd have to go to bed early or whatever, and you'd have to, like, go through, like, even though I had, like, a relatively tame experience going through school, even then, kids are dicks, right? You have to deal with all that shit again.
Yeah.
Like, so there's a lot of stuff that would be annoying, but it would be crazy because you'd be like, okay, like, I can watch things that I didn't watch as a kid. I guess just the amount of time you have, that's pretty.
Oh,
that's
yeah.
Like, you basically have, like, okay, like, I can just add on to my. And then it's interesting if you have memories, it's like, oh, I know what's coming, right?
Yeah, the mental anguish of knowing what's to come.
Mental anguish? No, you gotta pull off, you gotta do what, what's this, Biff and Back to the Future, just like, get the like you predict make bets on things and be like, yeah, no, I know, let's make a bet on this, and then it happens, and just or when a little thing called Google starts up, just buy those shares, I'm gonna fucking kill it. I'm gonna as an adult baby, I'm gonna destroy. I'm gonna become a child actor who has billions in stock, and I'll just steamroll through life. That's what I'm gonna do.
Awesome.
Okay. See, I think it's difficult because you can only serve yourself, because if you try to do anything publicly, then you're the freak, right? And then you get put into the lab. Because if you tell people like, oh, this disaster is gonna happen, and they're like, no, it's not going to, and then it happens, like, what the fuck are you doing? And then they put you in observation, and then you have to, like, government stuff. Right, so you can only really do things for yourself. I would eliminate all the cringe because I know when I would do it and when it would happen. Sure. I would see. I don't know if I would come to terms with like who I become as a person, because as a child, you're just figuring yourself out, and everything that's awkward comes from that, I think.
But the thing is, you already are that person. Yeah.
Exactly. I just kiss the hot jock at my school and just be like, yeah, what about it? I would. I think just like learn to appreciate. Like, I would watch cartoons that I know are good now that I thought, this sucks as a kid. Like Angel has recommended Courage the Cowardly Dog a million times, and I just never watched it as a kid because I was like, I don't know what this is.
You would love it.
So I would watch that. Yeah, I think I would just enrich myself. And then when it comes time to, appear to be skilled at a reasonable age, like fucking 14 or something, I would just start like, I want to work in TV. And then everyone's like, oh, I had a child prodigy.
Here's a show.
Prodigy. But yeah, everything would be really selfish because otherwise everything else just leads down to a path of like, who is this kid?
Right.
Yeah, I just think the first 17, 18 years would just kind of be that'd be like the struggle to get through, right?
Yeah.
And so that would just be like, I don't know, doing research, just like, and you know what, just enjoying life, right? As much, I mean, that's what those years are supposed to be for anyway, right?
Oh yeah,
just kind of like fucking just having fun. I do think one creepy thing would be like, oh, I'm an adult, and then oh no, like this 6th grader has a crush on me. It's like, oh god,
yeah.
That's a problem, right? Like that's something that like Detective Conan like like that's a weird thing where like he's like, I'm a high school boy, this elementary school girl has a crush on me. Like that would be a weird, but once you hit like adulthood, then it's pretty smooth sailing, I think. Then it's like then you can kind of just do whatever you want. I would just focus on, okay, because when I'm trying to, God, I'm taking this too seriously. I'm like, okay, to max out, it's like I'm trying to like speed run life, like, okay, Google stocks, like, or something like that, like, how could I get the money? And then like I don't know, oh god, and then everything's harder pre-internet, right?
Yeah. Oh my god, I never.
Oh, that's a huge obstacle, man.
Yeah.
Really, the better, like the ultimate version of this would be, you reincarnate. You don't go back. Although I do like your answer, Angel, because then you get to like appreciate moments and people more. Like that is a good, but like if you're like me and just like, but what can I maximize? Like reincarnation would be dope, because then it's like, okay, I get to see the future stuff. I guess you can't do the whole stock market shit, but fuck it, like start go hard out the gate, you know.
Right. I mean, I'm thinking about like other types of investments too, because I mean, you would have to repeat school again, but it would be so easy because you already know everything.
Oh yeah,
it's just busy work. So with that time that I have now as a child, I would, invest in like being more flexible, like doing more extracurriculars. I would learn like different languages, and I would be limited to what's available to me, because like internet's not great, but like go to the library more.
Yeah.
Hopefully that helps. But yeah,
and then once the internet starts up, world's your oyster.
Oh yeah.
Right? Oh yeah. Well, maybe past dial-up, but yeah, then the world's your oyster. I think one of the biggest parts, like I said, is just the sheer amount of time. All that time you get.
Yeah,
that would be great. Man. No, I'm sad I can't do it, Angel. Thanks.
You're welcome. Great. Well, who knows? I always think
who
about
knows?
because I mean, no, it's probably not gonna happen. But I think about how deja vu is a thing. Like, why do we experience that? Like, we recognize that this is like a pattern that people like experience, but like, what is it? I think that's like the most like fantastical thing that exists. Like, I don't know what it means. I don't know what deja vu is, but I think something about it is just very interesting. Like,
see, I wish
almost like a reincarnation-ish or something like that, or like a time loop.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's like my nerdy answer. Just because I'm a fucking horror nerd. I think I would hope that deja vu is just like looping the same day over and over again until you do something right and then you get out of the loop. That's my deja vu interpretation. I know it's not real, but a little magic never hurt no one. It's a little magic come early.
Well, for me, I'm just so dope at life. I've never had to loop.
You always do everything right.
Yeah, every day I do everything right, so I've never experienced the loop. It's like, yeah,
So wait, have you never felt deja vu?
I have.
Okay,
Yeah, I definitely have.
Okay.
Yeah. But it's usually more. Well, no, I definitely have I don't know if it counts, but like I've definitely been like, I've had the same feeling before, but then I realized it's because this happened. But deja vu is more like you can't explain it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
I've had that too, but maybe not like a ton. Again, because I don't go through the time loops. So
Exactly. You do everything perfectly. Or maybe this is your first run. This is like your first incarnation.
Oh, wait, you're saying the time loop is my whole life?
Sure. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I was just saying it would be the day.
Yeah, I thought we were going by the day.
Mm.
Like Groundhog's Day rules.
Yeah.
Like you don't get to leave the loop until you do everything right. But I always do everything right every day, so I've never had to worry about it.
Interesting.
Now, Leo, did you have something you wanted to bring to the table?
Less spiritual, obviously.
Sure.
But
Yeah.
what are your opinions on horror, either movies or games?
Okay.
Is there anything you like? Is there anything you watch, play?
I like horror, but I'm not like a fanatic about it. I like it as much as I like any good genre, right? But the thing is, I feel like I really want to be scared, but I'm usually almost never scared. That's the thing. And that's not me being like, try to scare me. I'm just like, oh, that was good. But I'm like,
right.
I'll have like my friends be like, oh man, I couldn't sleep. And I was like, oh. And I kind of almost envy it a little bit. I think the closest thing that gets me is I don't like, well, first let me go through like stuff that I like. So
okay.
Horror movies. I love The Orphanage.
Mm-hmm.
I like Record. Have you seen that?
Oh, I saw that in theaters. That was a whole thing. Friends and I went to see it. Oh my god, yeah. Anyway,
what is it?
That's a great. It's a zombie movie, but it's like very realistic in that like a camera crew is like recording it. It's like one of those.
Oh,
like a found footage thing.
Yeah.
Very, very good.
It's like, so to give you a perspective, it starts off with like a news crew doing a report on a firehouse, and like, oh, this is what the firemen do. Isn't that interesting? And then in the middle of it, they get a call like, oh, there's something happening at this apartment building. And the news crew just goes, oh, wow, a taste of what they do. Let's go follow them. And then go to the apartment building. And that's when all the shit breaks out. So everything is captured by the camera crew of the news people inside the building as it happens.
Interesting.
Yeah. It had an American remake later that I didn't watch, but
probably bad.
Probably bad.
It's a Spanish movie, yeah.
It's a Spanish movie, and it's great. So yeah, Record. Like I really liked what's it called? The Haunting of Hill House. That Netflix. That show was fun. So like for me, I do enjoy a good horror movie. Horror games I'm not as familiar with. Like
interesting.
Like I've played like Resident Evil 4, but that's more of an action game. Like I think what creeps me out is more like I think games are more likely to, because I feel like I'm more in it. Whereas movies, I still maybe feel like kind of like a separation. I think I've talked about this, maybe not on the podcast, but the closest I get is actually thriller movies that are like not necessarily like ghosts and stuff, but like stuff where I could imagine myself in the scenario, and then I'm like very like a little bit on edge, like Green Room. You've seen Green Room?
I have not.
Oh, okay. It's like a scenario where it's still like a horror movie, but it's a thriller more, and it's like this could happen theoretically, and that's what's scary to me. Of like trying to imagine, like, oh man, like could I survive this? Like, can we like, you know what it is though, right? Green Room, right?
I know I don't. I try to like anything that I haven't watched or seen, I try to keep myself as blind as possible.
But so you haven't even heard of it?
No, I've heard of it, but like, and it's something I do want to watch, but I don't know anything about it.
Got it. I won't say what it's about, but it's very good.
Okay.
That sort of genre is what will get me more like a little more not scared, but like doki doki, like yeah, that I like that.
Yeah.
And then the other thing I was gonna say is that stuff like what's that one game called? Yume Nikki, is that the one?
Yes.
Where it's like that kind of stuff can be a little creepy to me. Like the weird like imagery, like not like, oh, it's a ghost, but like what is this like weird, like Uboa, right? Or like Gigas at the end of Earthbound. I haven't even played Earthbound, but I'm familiar with Gigas, and I'm like, that's creepy. Yeah, that especially like old sprites and stuff. Like I feel like that's more likely to get me than like modern day stuff.
Okay.
So that's my sort of. How about you, Angel?
How do I feel about horror, or like what's my experience with it? I mean, I'm easily scared. I think I'm kind of with you on like the most disturbing things for me are definitely more like, I don't know if there's a better word for it, but like creepypasta things where it's just a lot of digital horror is like so fucked up. I think anything that's just like disturbing imagery. A lot of my nightmares I think are closer to like digital related, like glitches happening to you, just like robots, things like that. Things that are like artificial. I've had nightmares that are in stop motion.
Wow.
Where like Wallace, wait, is it Wallace and Gromit? Yeah, Wallace is like staring at me, and his like pupils are getting smaller and smaller and smaller.
What the fuck?
And that's why.
Who's getting smaller? Sorry.
Is it Wallace and Gromit? Like the guy,
the human or the dog?
The human.
Okay, yeah, Wallace.
Yeah. It like I have like a very specific eye phobia of just like small pupils like staring at me. That's why I like hate like the fucking Squidward suicide picture. It's just like red eyes and like black around it. Anything that's like digital, I think is creepy to me. I don't have the most experience with it, mostly because like a lot of like modern like horror movies are very like gory, so I just have to avoid them because I'm squeamish. I have like a big like blood phobia. I don't really seek it, but I do just have, I don't know, I have morbid curiosity. It's not a horror, but it's gore. I used to be like obsessed with like this old show on MTV. It's like Celebrity Deathmatch.
Oh my god.
Yeah. Also stop motion. But it's because it was like a cartoon, but like, there's funny celebrities, and they hurt each other. But like, I remember one of the episodes is like the Spice Girls versus like the Hanson brothers or something. And I love the Spice Girls, so I was just like traumatized at the idea that they died. Just like, oh god. But and I was really annoying. It was this was back when I lived in like a 2-story apartment. Like I was like hiding like at the very top of the stairs and like peeking at the TV and like listening, and like my older sister would be watching and I'd be like, what happened? Did they live? What happened? And they'd be like, just come down here and watch. No, just tell me what happened. Like I think that's how I feel about horror in general. It's like I will go to the wiki and like read the synopsis to see what happened.
I will look up Gaster and the Gaster Blaster.
No, I mean,
am I lying? You totally look that up.
Yeah, I mean, I was interested in like the Gaster stuff in Undertale. I don't. Did you? You haven't played Undertale yet, right?
I have played Undertale. Yeah.
Oh, you have played it. Oh, it's Deltarune you haven't touched yet. Right?
I haven't played Deltarune. No.
Okay. I still need to beat Chapter 2.
Yeah, same.
But yeah, it's like I'm the type of person who just wants to know what happened without actually watching it. We watched. I forgot what that sci-fi horror movie we saw recently on Discord.
Annihilation?
Was.
Oh, on Discord. Color Out of Space.
That's it. Yeah, where it was really interesting, but I like couldn't look at it half the time because it was all just like body horror and just disturbing shit. Oh my god, a lot of blood.
I don't know this movie, huh? Okay.
It has Nicolas Cage in it. It's pretty. It's very weird.
Okay.
Yeah, it's very weird.
Going back to what you were saying, someone about like picturing yourself in that situation and getting tense. Have you seen Hush or Gerald's Game?
I have seen both. They're great.
Okay, yeah, because I think those also get me a lot. Because in the case of like Hush, it's like, yeah, I could see myself being. I mean, I guess if I was disabled and couldn't hear. But Gerald's Game, oh my god, it's so tense and like so scary to. Yeah, I mean, what would you do?
It's a great movie, very tense, and I don't want to spoil anything, but Angel, maybe don't watch that one.
Don't. Yeah.
Probably not. Oh boy. Oh god. I watched that for the first time with me, Anne Marie, my wife, and our friend Erica, and we did not know what to expect, and it was just screams. Just even I was like, oh, whoa, like, you know, and I almost never react that way.
Oh, it's a lot.
But it's very good. And then Hush, I watched that I think this year for the first time and really liked that a lot. His stuff is great. I think he's very good. And yeah, I wasn't scared in that one. I that one I kind of treated more like a
thriller.
Well, almost like a roller coaster ride. I was like, I know she's gonna get him. I'm like, man, like, you know, get his ass. And that movie does a really good job. I love, not just in horror, but like action, because action movies are a whole other thing I can get into, where like both sides get their asses kicked. That's like, so it feels really real, right? Like if it's just like I'm not gonna say too much about Hush because, you know, I don't want to spoil anything, but it's a movie where, like, you know, in a lot of slasher films, it's just like, oh, the monster or the killer has the upper hand. It's just like, oh, kill. But like Hush is a very kind of a different movie than that, and is more like, you know, it feels a little more even. Like a level playing field. So, but that also in a way can make it even more like you're like, oh no, like when like certain things happen. But both those are fantastic. You know what's funny is, like, even though it's not realistic, well, maybe, I don't know, who knows, give us a couple of years, but like I get that thriller feeling I feel is I get that way with zombie movies, like, because it's like, well, what?
Give it a couple years. I was like,
you know, that's what I was saying. I was like, give it a couple years. Who the fuck knows? Maybe that's what Omicron is. But like, you know, that whole what would you do, right? What would you do? Like, you know, everyone throws themselves in that scenario when they watch a zombie thing, or and yeah, it's scary. Like, that's what I get the most invested in with horror stuff.
See, I think it's interesting because you have the complete opposite experience that I have, where you've seen more horror movies than you play horror games. Where I play as many horror games as I can. I think it started with Silent Hill, like, because I watched back when that guy with the glasses was a huge site. There was someone who was doing like a review of the series, and I was like, this looks really interesting. And I remember I bought 2, 3, and 4 on PS2, and that's kind of what got me hooked. And in the sense, because like when you're playing a horror game, obviously you're in control, so you're the one who dictates how far you want to go, or like how much you want to get scared. And I guess like it's less scary to me as more just being unsettled, especially with psychological horror. Like in Silent Hill 4, I remember this one moment that really got me. There's this one area that has a new enemy that's like a huge, I guess, figure, like a cloaked figure, but it has, I think, 2 baby heads on top of it. And when you first see it, it's just standing there and it doesn't do anything. If you get close to it, it starts pointing at you, and you're like, okay, cool. And everything moves slowly in that game. that thing charges at you. Like,
Oh shit!
it points at you for a couple seconds, and then it just lunges. And I was like, oh my god, because you don't expect it. Like after so many enemies that just don't like moves really slowly, this fucking baby is just running at you. That really got me. Or just like mindfucky things. Like there's times where they will switch where a door goes, and you're like, wait, wasn't this going this way? There's props in the environment that disappear when you're looking at them when you're not. Like that kind of stuff I find really interesting. It's
cool.
it's really good.
Now, while I feel like we could go on forever, I do want to ask one last thing to both of you, two-parter, because going back to things that we've been talking about, favorite movie and favorite cereal. What's your favorite movie first? And, let's do like top. You can say your favorite movie and then a couple others that you really like, but yeah. Like Leo, what is your favorite movie?
Okay, I would have to say all-time Little Miss Sunshine. Absolutely.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
How about like your top 3 then? Or
okay,
can you do top 5?
Yeah, I can do top 5. Honorable mentions: The Parent Trap with Lindsay Lohan.
Oh wow! Okay, yeah.
As a kid, my sisters and I used to watch the hell out of that movie. I think just the production design in it is really charming.
Yeah.
I love the camp setting and how huge it feels. It really feels like you're like a kid in this space, just because it's so fantastical sometimes too. Like just the amount of people in the cabins, like how big they are. I like that one. I like Rocket Science. Have either of you heard about Rocket Science?
Rocket Science. It sounds familiar.
It's an indie film. I first saw it when I was homesick from school, and I was watching like HBO on a TV, just like barely conscious. It's nothing to write home about, but I don't know why I gravitated to it. It's about a kid who has a stutter, and this girl tries to recruit him for a debate team, and he thinks like, oh my god, this girl sees that I'm special, but in reality, the girl wants the debate team to fail because she had like a bad experience with them. So she tries to recruit as many like shitty people as she can in terms of debating, like people who couldn't debate well. So it's about this kid who kind of like just tries to go the distance and like learning how to debate and getting over his stutter. And it's also like a scorned lover kind of situation. I like it because it's such a flat look at just typical high school Americana in middle America. It's so just like non-remarkable that makes it remarkable to me, because you really get to focus on like what these people are doing, what their day-to-day is. I like the acting too. Fucking Anna Kendrick's in it. Jonah Hill, is it the one? I always get that confused with I forget what his name is.
Seth
Rogen. Yeah. So Jonah Hill. Okay, it's Jonah Hill's in it too. He has a small cameo. But yeah, those are 3. I would say, I guess, animated Emperor's New Groove is a huge one. Also just by virtue of like watching it when I was a kid a whole lot. I guess that like it's hard to say if that makes it a good film or just something you watched a lot.
It can be both.
Yeah, but I think it like sticks with, I always have a good time watching it. And 5th is Whisper of the Heart, the Ghibli film.
Nice.
It's very, very good.
That is a good selection. I'm definitely interested in Rocket Science. It seems like my jam. Have you seen Spellbound?
Yes.
I'm looking at the same director.
Yes.
That's a great movie too.
I remember, because this was when I was interning at Cartoon Networks. I was living in Burbank. And I wanted to watch it at that particular moment in my life, and I couldn't find it, so I went to the Burbank Public Library. They had a DVD.
Nice.
And I just I ripped it to my computer, and I just watched it that way. I really liked that. It was really good too.
Dude, I used to borrow DVDs from the library all the time. It was like, it's free, right?
Oh yeah.
I have to go to block. Yeah. And you just get a bunch of shit and you just watch them all. Oh man, those were the days.
It's very accessible, yeah.
That's a very good list. Angel, you got a top 5?
So of the 2 films that I've seen,
yeah.
it is genuinely hard. I don't watch too many. It's like I enjoy watching them. I don't know that it like leaves an impression on me. Like this is my favorite. I'm gonna keep rewatching it.
Then how about like five movies you just really like?
Okay, so but I really want to do. I want to do live action. I can do it. I really like Matilda.
Matilda. Okay, I still haven't seen it. I need to see it.
It's so fun. It's so silly. I asked everybody, have you ever read the Matilda fantasy? Because it's very relevant to me as someone who has. I mean, I didn't seek like a found family, but it's like within my friends, I feel like I've made a found family. It's just like this is my support group. I remember really liking Hugo when I watched it.
Oh yeah,
Hugo's good. Yeah,
Hugo's great.
I had an ex-friend of mine was also like a big film buff. And we would just like see anything that was like nominated, and that was one of them that I think left an impact on me. I think because I remember it. I think I saw that in The Artist the same weekend.
Oh, the 4x3 black and white.
Yes.
Yeah.
I haven't seen it. Did you like it?
I thought it was interesting. You know, just anything that like, plays with like different media. Like I thought it was cool. But yeah. I can think of more.
Was The Artist on your list?
Is the what? The art?
Is The Artist?
No. It was
Got
cool,
it.
but
okay. Then I can say this. I thought The Artist was okay. But
okay. It's like a woe is me kind of movie.
It was creative, but I'm also like, I've seen the black and white movies you're replicating, and those are better.
Oh,
yeah.
I mean, I really like Willy Wonka, the original.
Okay, yeah,
the original, yes.
Original's great.
Original's great.
I mean, I appreciate like the musical aspect of it, and when I think of like, I don't know, maybe like the first thing of like ASMR or like, you know, visually appealing things, it's like that opening of like all the chocolate being made, like being poured in like the factory. It's so good. I can't think of any more. I don't know.
We have 3 so far.
Yeah.
You can do animated.
2 more. Well, animated.
Yeah, you're not forbidden from animated. Like...
I just wanted to try, and I failed. Okay, well, animated. God, Empress and Groove is also really good. That's so funny. I was really obsessed with just comedians in general too, and comedy. I feel like it's a lot more difficult than people give it credit for. And it's one of the reasons why I got into animation too. Is like, I may have talked about this before, but it's like a peek into someone's mind. Like you get to see something that you normally wouldn't see unless you were like a mind reader. You could like hop into dreams, like the visuals that someone can make up, and like you could see like their sense of humor and like their you know, their political takes, like anything. Like it's just like you get to be a nosy person, and that's why I love animation. And I was obsessed with comedians. I used to watch a lot of like Comedy Central stand up, because I mean I would recognize a lot of like names and like voice actors. It's like, oh, they have this special. I was really excited to like meet Phil Lamar because I watched a lot of that TV. This is a whole tangent. I'm so sorry.
No, I love it.
But yeah, I like Denver's in a Group. I like comedy. I really like James and the Giant Peach. I credit that as like the first time my child brain like registered like emotional investment in like a media. Like, oh my god, this is making me feel things. This is a story. A lot of like mixed media in that. It's kind of live action and animation. That's kind of cool. I love James and the Giant Peach. I really love Coraline. Same director, Henry Selick.
See, I was surprised you didn't say that as your top one.
Yeah, I mean, this is in no particular order, but okay. I do really like Coraline. Trying to think of animes too. We just saw Belle.
Oh,
and
really?
Like I was trying to think of I was trying to think of Mamoru, and I'm like, do I mean, I love Summer Wars. I don't know if it's in my top, but anyway, films. I gave 3 already.
Well, you gave 5 because you did the 2 animated ones, didn't you?
Yeah, you're good now. Yeah.
Yeah, you don't have to like present a list to the judge, to the panel.
Yeah. You don't have to suffer anymore. You can rest. You can rest now.
Oh, thank God.
It's funny that you mentioned comedians. I also was really into comedians. And at one point was like, I want to do stand up. Never did. But I mean, comedy. I suppose in a way I've done comedy. And
you do that on the
Think,
YouTubes.
yeah, I do think that it's on the YouTubes. But I agree with you that comedy. A lot of people think comedy is easy, and it is not. And a lot of people think that they can be funny, and they're not.
Yeah.
And even when it goes to acting, I think a lot of people, like, not to toot my own horn, but I do think I have a very good knack for comedic acting. And I notice that sometimes people have trouble with it. Like, maybe the timing, maybe,
Oh, for sure.
Like, usually if I read a joke or a scene, almost instantly I get exactly how it needs to be done, but sometimes that's not as super clear for people. It can be interesting to watch. So for me, think about your favorite serials. While my top 5 movies first is Hot Fuzz. I love Hot Fuzz. Next would be The Host, or Gemul in Korean. Bong Joon-ho film, monster movie. Fantastic. Have you seen it?
I've only seen Memories of Murder and Parasite.
You should watch The Host. It's fucking great. In fact, you like Little Miss Sunshine?
Yes.
I think you will love The Host.
All right.
I really think of it as like Little Miss Sunshine, the Korean monster movie.
Oh.
It's fantastic. I really love Memento. A newer movie for me, but it might be up there, is One Cut of the Dead. Have you seen that?
One Cut of the Dead? I have not.
Don't look up anything about it. Just watch it.
Okay.
In fact, maybe I'll show it to you one day if you haven't seen it by then. It's a joyful. It's so fucking good. But don't look up anything about it.
All right.
And probably like Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. That's probably mine.
Oh yes. Oh my God. I love Michel Gondry just in general too.
Yeah, he's great.
So
that's probably
good.
top 5 live action, and then animated. That's like you got like your Millennium Actress, Great Mouse Detective, Emperor's New Groove.
I thought you said anime, not animated. I was like, wait, Great Mouse Detective is anime?
Yeah, I love that anime. Porco Rosso. And you got your Peter Pan. Obviously, is very dear to my heart.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, I've seen it a couple times. But now, most importantly, let's finish off with favorite cereal.
I got this.
Okay.
So this is this maybe an unpopular opinion. Cap'n Crunch, Oops All Berries. I think people hate that cereal because it like destroys your mouth, but I fucking love it.
Interesting.
I love Fruity Pebbles. I know it like just evaporates. But I like it.
I love Fruity Pebbles.
It's so good. I like it. I like it more than like the Rice Krispies. I think I like the cocoa better than like cocoa Rice Krispies. And then like my go-to. I usually get it. It's like Frosted Flakes. It's like filler, but I need to have it.
Hell yeah.
Filler. It's good.
What do you mean filler?
I don't know about. Well, I mean, I just feel like, in the sense that like I am constantly getting it. Like I don't even think about it. It's like, oh, I'm out of Frosted Flakes. Like I just consume it. It's like, I don't know. It's part of my daily routine. I probably ate it. Like I'm probably eating it before work. Like 90% of the time.
It's a classic.
These all track for you. I think. I like Oops All Berries, but I like Crunch Berries better because I like the Captain Crunch pieces. Like,
oh yeah.
So I like having both. Like I like having the berry because I love the berries too.
Right.
I don't know if I've talked about this on the pod. I probably have at some point on the internet, but I did this. Whenever I bring up Crunch Berries, I have to mention that I always pretended I was like a bear eating honeycomb with berries. Like, because the Berenstain Bears would always be like, oh yeah, they eat honey and berry honey, and I was like, oh, it's like crunch berries, and so that was always my thing with that.
You did it with crunch berries, but not like honeycomb.
I liked crunch berries more than honeycomb, so that's why.
I feel like
I wasn't that big
honeycomb
on honeycomb.
Yeah, it was like hit or miss. Sometimes you'd have like a really good like frosted piece, but other times it's just like a soggy, like mealy, like.
Yeah, my favorite is Frosted Flakes, the filler cereal, apparently. But some ones I also really. Oh, go ahead.
I don't know. It was definitely not the right word. I just buy it. Without
It's more like a standard for you. It's like
It's a
classic.
You almost take it. You almost take a classic. Yeah. I do love Oreos with the marshmallows. That shit was so good.
Shit.
See, the way you feel about Frosted Flakes, I don't buy cereal, but like Reese's Puffs are so good, but that's almost like a standard for me. Like, of course, everyone likes Reese's Puffs, right?
I don't.
I like Reese's Puffs.
Damn. All right.
I'm sorry.
There's Muffin Tops. You ever had that, like the blueberry muffin cereal?
No, I've never had
I
it.
haven't.
That's delicious. That's like, I think it's a malto meal one you get in a bag, but like a friend showed me this and it tastes just like blueberry muffins. It's fucking great. And then I don't know if they make this anymore, but I do really love Waffle Crisp.
I never had.
I think maybe that's a post.
I mean, I love Waffle Crisp so much. I had a traumatic experience where I was sick and ate Waffle Crisp and I threw up in the bathtub. And even then, I still loved Waffle Crisp after that.
It's stand the test of time. Oh, that's great.
But I don't know if they make it anymore. How about you, Leo? Favorite cereal?
Okay. My classic is just plain old cornflakes. They're so addictive to me.
Mr. Adult over here.
Well, I don't know. They're a little sugary. I like it.
Okay, yeah.
The Nesquik cereal. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
I was just like, I like that they're customizable. I didn't fuck with like putting strawberries into them until recently. It's great.
I like that term because it really is. You can put whatever you want in them. The Nesquik cereal, the little like circle puffs.
Oh yeah. That was great.
Those are so good. Like as a kid, that would be like my special. Like, Mom, can I have this, please? And like, God, delicious.
Yeah.
Tricks, but only when they're in the fun shapes.
They brought that back.
They did, yes, because it's like a whole different texture game than just like the puffs. And to me, it's more satisfyingly like dense to crunch into.
Did you ever, as a child, I did this, eat the pieces as if they were the fruits?
Yes, like individually.
So like I would
like
eat the red part of the watermelon. You would like eat the grapes one by. Okay, good.
I never did. I like that though.
That's because you're an adult who likes cornflakes. All right.
God.
We like joy. We like sugar.
No, cornflakes are good. I mean, he could have said like bran flakes or whatever, but even then, I would have been like, okay.
I mean, I'll tell you that as a kid, all my grandma had was bran flakes, and that's what I would eat for breakfast when I would stay over, and it wasn't bad. But I like cornflakes better than bran. Why are we talking about this? Which one of these two classic cereals are the worst?
Do you like plain Cheerios?
No, I hate plain Cheerios. I have to have the frosted kind.
Then I can respect, because I do. Cornflakes are good. I'm teasing, but plain Cheerios can suck my dick. Like just they're
terrible.
Well,
they're terrible.
I mean, like I always grew up like, oh, you need to add something, so I would always just like sprinkled sugar at the bottom, and then add my cereal at the milk, and then again at the top. So it's just like
you can cover a dog turd in sugar, and it'll taste good.
I guess so.
that. See, like Honey Nut Cheerios are great.
Oh, yes. Great. Delicious.
Yeah. Any flavored Cheerio is, bring it on. Plain Cheerios, like I was at a camp once and they had plain Cheerios and like, I like didn't know I was like, what, plain Cheerios? Like, okay. I never had it. And I was like, this fucking sucks. Like, what the hell? I have to put sugar on my cereal? No, it should be coated in sugar. And unrecognizable, like from real food. That's how cereal should be.
Yeah.
That's also why I don't buy cereal anymore. Until the inevitable try all cereal video or whatever. But
God,
hour long.
You're going to pass away.
It gets requested a lot. I would have to do it by like brand, like General Mills or Kellogg's or something.
Post.
Even just Kellogg's is gonna be such a trial. I don't know if that's gonna be that's not gonna be a one and done. That's gonna be like
no, that would be over several days. Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
My Cheerio story is that I was watching Matilda, and there's a scene where she's like trying out her What do you know much about Matilda? Is it okay if I spoil that she?
Go.
Okay.
It's fine. I think I've had time to watch it, so go for it.
Okay. When she's testing out her powers, she uses a box of Cheerios and milk.
She has powers? Fuck! No, okay, go ahead. Yeah.
And as a kid, I was like, what is that cereal? Little circles? And I went to the store when my mom would like to just get groceries. And I was like, can I try this cereal? And they only had the plain one. And I tried it. And I was like, this is what she was fucking excited about? It sucks. I don't think I finished that box at all. But last favorite cereal, French Toast Crunch. Like in the shapes of the breads.
Yeah, that's a fantastic choice. Yeah.
Delicious. They taste like a little eggy somehow, too.
Yeah.
I love them.
Angel, I love Fruity Pebbles as well. Those are fantastic. Fuck, I want cereal now. Great. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it. Well, I feel like we could go on forever, but I'll just have to have you guys on again, and we'll talk about cereal the entire time.
That's fine.
But before we sign off, where can people find you? We'll start with you, Angel.
You can find me just about anywhere under username Glamdoodle, GLAMDOODLE. Pretty much everywhere. Yeah. And then cool. I have cartoons, I guess. Go watch Craig. Watch Craig the Creek.
Craig of the Creek. It's a great show. And Leo, where can we find you?
My Twitter is @Hyaleo, HIYALEO, Hyaleo. And watch my show if you want, Camp Coral. Listen, it's fun sometimes.
Yeah. You don't have to defend it. Yeah, go, yeah.
Well, I mean, I have a good time on it, mostly because I like drawing some of the characters.
Sure.
Everybody can pick whatever they want. Although Sungwon, I did want to have like a last, not a lengthy discussion, but like a really quick thing, because I feel like this needs to be discussed seriously and without like as a jokey thing. Fursona, what would you pick?
Yes.
Why?
I think I've been asked this before. It'd probably just be a big cat. I think, I mean, honestly, I voice a character that I'm like, this is kind of like my persona, and that would be like Hyodo from Agretsuko.
Yeah.
We have a lot in common. Have you seen Agretsuko?
I have not, but I'm familiar with the character. Is he a jaguar or a leopard?
He is a leopard.
Okay.
But you should watch it. And if you like dubs, I'm in the dub, so check it out.
Okay.
But that character is like, when people are like, you just voiced you, like not in a derogatory way, but that character is so you in a lot of ways. He's one of my favorite characters I've ever done. But yeah, so probably, but more realistically, I'm not gonna say I'm as cool as like a leopard. So probably just like a big cat, just like
a tiger big cat, or do you mean like just like
like a house cat? Like a regular cat. Yeah, just big. Yeah.
Okay.
I can see that.
But the closest thing would be like Hyodo.
Okay.
I think I identify a lot with cat-like tendencies.
I see that
more so than others.
I see that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't suppose either of you have ever thought about what persona you would have, right? I mean, why would you? Never. That would never come up. Thanks for being on. And before we sign off by saying what your persona is, and go.
Okay, tiger.
Oh, skunk. I already said it, but skunk.
Skunk. All right. Bye, everybody.
Goodbye.
Bye.